Welcome. Thanks for joining us for Fated Worlds, Blades in the Dark. We are still down a Dimmy. Hopefully he'll be back next week. Mark will be joining us shortly in about a half hour. But we still have some character creation stuff to do first, so we will work. The plan is to go ahead with that, and then hopefully within the hour be ready to jump into actual gameplay. So, Kelsa, Hassa, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Me too. I'm finally making good progress on my thesis. Which is good.
What is the topic of your thesis?
Neural networks.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's very elegant and simple but complicated artificial intelligence technique where you try to basically simulate the human brain. I mean, not the entire human brain. Some of our processes work by showing a piece of software, a bunch of pictures of cats, and telling them the software, hey, these are cats, and then the software by itself learns what classifies as a cat or not. And it's really elegant and really cool. And we use it to analyze data for a computer game, League of Legends.
Interesting.
Cool things.
Very cool. So, I mean, I took a course in artificial intelligence eons ago in college. So that's definitely a topic that intrigues me. But rather than indulging that, I guess we should if we're doing a sci-fi game right now, I'd say okay, let's just go into that for a while. But I guess we should go ahead and jump in with this. So I guess over to you, Kelsa, and we'll do some character generation stuff.
Cool. So when we last left off, we had just created our crew, which is the cult called the Shroud of Dionia. And Dionia is an alluring and sinister god that will sometimes manifest in the physical world. And this can be a boon, but the priorities and value of a god are not those of mortals. You have been warned. It's going to be very interesting. You guys have a crew of adepts. In addition to the player characters, there are probably half a dozen adepts who are scholars, tinkers, occultists, or chemists of some kind. They are basically your followers in the worship of Dionia, and they do what you ask for the most part, but they're not super great. You can order them around by taking a group action and leading the group action with them, and they roll their quality, which is currently 1. You guys, there are 2 more things you got to do for 3 really, for the cult before we are done, but we can wait to finish that up later, and we can do your guys' characters first. So I know that Brad had a pretty good idea about his character, a Whisper.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at your character. It looks like you assigned your 4 points that you get for character creation. At character creation, you get 2 points that you can put anywhere you want, and then 1 point that is related to your heritage, which is where you grew up, and 1 point that is related to your background, which is what you were doing directly before you joined this cult. So you've got a very interesting heritage and background listed here. You have
go ahead.
You have the heritage of a Ruvian torturer. And so tell me a little bit about that. Were you, as a heritage, this is about your family life. So were your parents torturers, or were you initiated into being a torturer at a young age?
I was thinking more young age rather than necessarily my parents being involved in the same thing. They'd probably be involved in perhaps the same like state church in Aruvia, because I'm thinking there's not a whole lot of choice in that. Like if you don't. If you don't worship, the demon prince, how did I pronounce it? Is Garivel, I think, or one of the other potentates, then you're kind of subject to the Inquisition, and it's bad news.
Right.
But I was thinking that having both heritage and background be sort of the same thing would probably need to be changed up. The background is just more detail on the first thing.
Yeah. So if you look at the character creation page, which is one of the handouts that are included in Roll20 for convenience, heritage is a detailed note about your family life. This is like what your parents did and how you grew up, and your background is your specific history, what you did before you got here. So, being an Aruvian torturer and an inquisitor for the demon prince as Gervilio could all be wrapped up in your background, and your heritage would be like kind of the way I picture it is assuming your character is 20. Your heritage is the first 10 years of your life, and your background is the second 10 years of your life.
Okay.
More or less. Or if we're gonna go what's the one with the with the colored gem in your hand that changes color? That sci-fi book and movie. The first 7 years of your life, you're a child, and it doesn't really matter. The second 7 years of your life until you're 14, what you do with your parents, how they affect on you, that's your heritage. And then the third 7 years between 14 and 17 is your background, what you've been working on. But you could be older when we start, and this is just a super abbreviated version of the way to look at it.
Okay.
So yeah, if you were from a young age taught to be a torturer, then absolutely keep torture as your heritage. If your parents if you grew up in a household of torturers and they taught you all of the tricks for causing pain without causing harm since you were old enough to hold a scalpel, then yes. And that would be very interesting. But otherwise, I would say changing it would make sense.
Okay. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna change that up. I haven't decided. I'm gonna have to think a little bit about what my parents did, and where in society they fit before I went off to do my thing, serving the demon prince.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to go by Farouk, or do you have an alias that you go by, or do you go by your last name?
Probably generally Farouk. but and I had like a nativist that I decided I didn't like. It was Spaz, and now that as I started on the rest of the character, I was thinking that I didn't want like that name to define him. Like Farouk, I think gives more of the feel I'm looking for, which is just kind of a you know, sort of fanatical, um, uh, a little bit Middle Eastern feel. Not that those two things are necessarily related. And I apologize if I'm like stereotyping in any way, because certainly like he
You can be Middle Eastern and fanatic. It doesn't have to be, linked to each other in any way.
yeah like certainly I don't think that like the Muslim faith exists in Blades, like
No, nothing
Yeah.
even close to it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So yeah, and I also noticed, so your character, you're missing the 3 dots that you get for being a whisper.
oh, okay.
So if you look at the whisper playbook, you'll see that it starts off printed with 2 dots in attune and 1 in study. So you should give yourself those as well.
Okay, cool.
Yes, total of 7 dots.
That is very helpful.
Mm-hmm. So Hase, you were saying you had an idea for a character?
Yeah, definitely. I wanna play this this like teenager, 15 years or something in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Who comes from this really like strong religious family,
Mm-hmm.
where it was taught like. I don't know, this maybe was dedicated to some kind of like fighting or death god or something like that. And, from a young age, they just trained him to fight, and he's all uptight, the kind of like dark hair, maybe hangs in front of his eyes a little, dark clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's gonna start out as, this skilled guy, or skilled, unusually skilled teenager, you not expect a 15-year-old to just, running around killing people, I guess. Then hopefully, like, slowly he'll open up to the other people and, want to stick with them for more than just because he was told to do so by his daddy.
Okay. And had you looked at the different playbooks? What playbook
I was thinking Cutter, maybe. Cutter could be
Cutter?
cool.
Cutter's
Yeah.
a good one. So as a Cutter, you get 2 dots in skirmish and 1 dot in command by default.
Okay, how and where do I do that?
So on your character sheet, if you go to playbook page, and then you'll see.
Where's the playbook page?
Okay.
See bio and info, character sheet, and attributes.
So yeah, if you go to character sheet, there's tabs.
2 little dots. Depending on what.
Okay.
Depending on what browser you're using, they may just look like dots, and you have to hover over them to see
Yeah,
what
they were
they
just
say.
dots.
So yeah, you want to go to the second dot. That's playbook.
Playbook.
So you can
Okay.
Cutter in right there. I'll do it
Yeah.
for you.
Thank you. Okay.
Then under prowess is where you're going to find skirmish.
Wish, check. 1 in there.
And so you get 2. in
2.
that.
Cool.
And then under resolve, you're going to find command. I'm going to put 1 in that.
Cool. Okay, that's cool.
And if you open up, in fact, I can go to players. Header playbook. You're going to get a special ability of your choice. The kind of default one is brutal. Your attacks are more powerful. You hit as if wielding a heavier weapon and gain potency versus physical targets. Basically,
I mean, that's kind of cool.
It is. It just means that you are, well, you're brutal. Exactly. You just deal more damage every time.
Tough as nails. Like, when you resist with prowess, like, what does that mean?
So you'll notice there's insight, prowess, and resolve. Those are your resistances. Your prowess is how many of each type of prowess skill you have. So right now, to start, you only have one, which is skirmish.
Yeah.
Even though you have 2 dots in skirmish, you'll only have 1 prowess because you only have 1 type of skill.
Okay.
If you put dots into finesse, prowl, or wreck, that'll give you more, and that'll give you more prowess. Basically, I don't really make any rolls in this game to attack you. You're going to make attacks, and consequences of those attacks may be you take damage.
Okay, so
Anytime...
brutal is you do more damage, and tough as nails is you take less, basically?
Exactly, basically. Okay. So basically, I could tell you, like, alright, you succeed, but there's a consequence. You make your attack, and even though you kill this thug, he gets a good swipe at you with his blade. And you're going to take a consequence of, a hamstring. And that's going to be a serious harm, level 3 harm. You're going to be bleeding, you're going to go down, and you can't do anything else without somebody's help because you're bleeding out and your muscles in your legs don't work.
Yeah.
Now you can say, wait a minute, I don't want to do that. And then you're going to roll a prowess resilience in order to not take that damage, either entirely or have it reduced.
Partially.
So it may go from being hamstring to, a cut on your leg, which would be like a minor consequence.
Okay.
But you have to take stress in order to do so. And the more dice you roll, the less stress you take, usually.
Okay. What's the difference between not to be trifled with and brutal?
So, not to be trifled with is in close quarters you're scaled up to a small gang. Brutal means that when you are attacking one person, you deal a bunch of damage. But if you're surrounded, you're going to be outclassed. Not to be trifled with says if you're surrounded, you can still deal with all of them on equal footing.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to go for not to be trifled with or brutal, but I didn't know which one.
Yeah, they're both really good, and eventually you can, when you gain experience, you can level up and get the other one as well, and then you'll be brutal and not to be trifled with, and yeah.
I guess it makes sense to start with brutal, like first time brutal 1-to-1 combat, and then after that you just learn to fight everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be cool.
Cool, yeah.
I'll be brutal.
Awesome. So you just write under special abilities, you write brutal and type in what it does.
Okay. Special abilities. Brutal. Should I click the checkbox?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Give me a moment to write them down.
No problem.
Can anyone think of a more period-appropriate term for a bookie?
I think bookie is appropriate.
Okay.
Look under. There's a vice, purveyors of vice section. Yeah, they don't list what it would be called. Bookie sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay.
We all know what you mean.
So I've written down that I am brutal.
Fantastic. So now we are going to go for your heritage. If you'll see on the actually do this. Go to players. It should show you the Shattered Islands. This is all of the different places you could be from. And you'll notice Tycheros is off the map. We are all going to be living in Duxfall, which is on Akaros. And this gives you a little bit of detail about each of the different islands and the types of people that live there. For example, the islands have wildly different climates due to magical weirdness from the Cataclysm. And the water of the Void Sea seems to be composed of opaque black ink, but it's possible to see constellations shimmering stars far below the surface. The sun is a dim ember, providing only purplish twilight at dawn and dusk, and leaving the world in darkness otherwise. So, you can take a look at that and see what type of heritage you might want. Since this game is still a beta right now, there is nothing more than what is on that page about these places. You get to make up anything else you want. Just take that little snippet and go crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's left open, and each campaign's version of Aruvia or the Dagger Isles is going to be customized based off of the players.
I like that too. I know that Duskfall is getting a lot more details in the full version. It says since John Harper, the author, has been teasing them out a little bit. But right now, we got to go with what we got. So it goes. So yeah, have you had a chance to look through those islands
I'm
yet?
thinking Erufia or the Dagger Isles.
Those are
Makes
both good
sense
choices.
for my character. I don't know, is there anything known about any religions, or is it really, or that might make sense in any of these areas, or?
So, there is the state church of the Empire, which is the where is it? The Church of Ecstasy of the Flesh is the state religion, more or less. They honor the sensual life of the body and abhor corruption in the spirit world. They're structured mostly as a secret society, so that people they generally attend church and whatever, but only the clergy really know the deep secrets. And your standard level priest only knows a little bit more than the populace, and then above that you've got bishops or what have you that know more, but they're also more secretive. That's basically death has broken something. Whatever caused the cataclysm has broken the way that death works, and when you die, your soul sticks around. And if no one burns the body, then you become a ghost, and shortly thereafter go crazy.
Yeah.
And so the Church of Ecstasy of the Flesh celebrates life and all aspects of enjoying life to your fullest, because when you die, you're just becoming a crazy ghost.
Yeah.
And so there's that. But there are other religions around. There is the Forgotten Gods, which is a jumble of different cults and mysteries that each attempt to follow the old ways from before the Cataclysm. And so basically you guys are kind of the same thing. You follow, the alluring and sinister Dionia and do what she tells you to do. And there are 100,000 other forgotten gods that other little cults follow for whatever reason, as well as the cult of Echoes, which is a popular mystery cult that borders on open rebellion against the spirit laws. They revere the ancients and seek to gain knowledge from the past, including consorting with spirits. Those are the kind of the major religions you might see.
Okay, so if I wanted a religion where killing is a thing, then I'd probably have to go for a forgotten god, right?
Yeah, most religions are not going to be on board with killing, but some forgotten gods do, because there are some out there that say, the reason why death is broken is that there are too many people, and if you kill enough of them, it'll fix it, or some other strange, weird perversion of how history works. You can tell me about it.
So, Farouk, how about we have maybe a similar heritage? Maybe we met before already.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know what this demon prince of yours is, but if you're a torturer and such, I imagine like deathly religions might work well.
Yeah. So the one like tidbit that I guess is canon about Arubia is that there's at least tales that it's like openly led by demons.
Yeah.
So I sort of wanted to run with that, with the idea that not only are demons, sort of ruling the show there, but there's like several of them that are sort of contesting the place, and each of them has their own cult, worshiping them as a living god.
Okay.
And those like state churches are totally brutal. They have like this active inquisition going on, which is something that Fruit kind of grew up in, and was at an early age he was very faithful to that. But as time went on, he kind of became disenchanted. He saw that that these princes, rather than being morally superior, and thus the brutal acts being justified, it was all very self-serving and relatively blatantly so. So when he first comes in contact with Dionia, it's like this huge revelation of something beyond that.
I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you'd be on board with that, but my character's called Lan, and was thinking that Lan, like, this is basically the first moment he's away from under his parents' influence. And that is because he ran away from home because, he wanted to basically start forming an opinion by himself, which is, a bit of his struggle. What if you're a bit older than Lan, right?
I was thinking Farouk was probably in his 30s.
Yeah, so what if you convinced Lan that, this... She should really leave that, that old religion and come along, and there's this Diania, and kind of, that you're kind of manipulating it?
Sure.
Work with your character?
Yeah. I think so.
All right, manipulating me.
I think that would be cool. Lan just was like, okay, I'm going to break free from my parents, who were indoctrinating me, and then, he just ends up in another cult. With another...
Oops. Yeah. I mean, I guess from Farouk's perspective, it wouldn't be manipulation so much as liberation, but from an outside perspective, it would be manipulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would totally work. Like, I don't mean Farouk should be evil or anything.
I think we're all evil. Right? I mean...
I mean, sinister? Maybe, or what? I mean, evil is just how you look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be cool. I'm totally excited. But having Lan knowing Farouk from back in the day. So I guess like my heritage would be, something like trained in the art of killing from a young age, and then, some point, freed by Farouk and trying to make his own way.
Okay. And it totally could have been possible that we met in the Dagger Isles where you grew up. Because
I was thinking I grew up in Eruvia anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you could put Eruvia as your heritage, and you can take 1 point in anything you like that you think relates to, fighting trained from a young age as your heritage. Except you can't put anything up to 3. You can only start off with 2, so you cannot have a third skirmish. But you could put one into a hunt or prowl or finesse or wreck. Those are all kind of fighting skills.
I think Prowl is talking to someone, right?
What was that?
Prowl is talking someone, right?
Stalking,
yes, stalking, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think for my heritage is Eruvian assassin, okay?
Nice, love it.
Okay, and he's going to have appointed to Prowl. So that would make sense for an assassin. Hello.
Welcome.
Hey, Mark. How you doing? Okay, let me start getting your picture up for when you come into Roll20.
So then for your background, Hase, that you're going to choose basically what were you doing before, like after you were an assassin and before Farouk got you into this game? What were you doing?
I'm not sure. I imagine I'm not free for that long. I mean, I can choose a different background
if you look at the character creation, you'll notice they have some or on your character sheet. That's it. There's certain examples for types of backgrounds you can have: academic, labor, law, trade, military, noble, or underworld. It sounds to me like maybe it was still underworld.
I think maybe like when I was younger, my parents were training me, and then at some point they started sending me on missions, so something like a hired killer or something like that.
So yeah, maybe your heritage is battle trained, and then your background is assassin.
Okay, sure.
And then you could have another skill point in something else that makes sense. Hunt or study, as is something an assassin would definitely need, or more prowl, finesse or wreck again.
Prowl is sneaking around and then hunt is following? Or what is the difference between prowl and hunt?
So if you look at this page right here, show players.
Okay.
These are the different actions and what they do. Like
we'll study that.
Hunt. When you carefully track a target. You might follow a person and discover the location. You might arrange an ambush. You might attack with precision, shooting from a distance. You could try to bring your guns to bear in a melee, although skirmish might be better. Prowl is traverse skillfully and quietly. You cast a guard and hide in shadows. You might run and leap across rooftops. You might attack someone from hiding with a backstab or blackjack. You could try to waylay a victim in the midst of a battle.
Okay. I'll read up on those and decide. It's a tough choice. But he's also interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Also really cool.
Once you've chosen that from your background, you have 2 more dots, 2 more bonuses that you can put into anything you want.
Okay.
So, if you want to put, another one into Prowl from your background and then 2 into Hunt, and cover all your bases, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put one into Hunt now then, and then I would also like one into Study, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the
last one? Okay.
One.
Let's see. And then you're going to choose a close friend and a rival on the playbook page. You'll see there is you're going to write 1 and put the first checkbox, that is your close friend, and then you choose the other and choose the second checkbox, and that is your rival. And then I ask you some questions about them, like why are you super close with one person, and why does the other person hate you, or why do you hate them? Maybe they don't hate you. We'll find out.
I have a question about the skills. Is it better to like widen out and get like maybe survey sounds interesting, for instance, or it's better to get like 2 points into different things?
It depends if you want to be specialized or if you want to be broad. You can still do a skill even if you have 0 in it. It's just not as good. You roll 2d6 and keep the lowest. If you have 1, you're just going to roll 1d6 and do take whatever it is. And if you got 2, you're going to roll 2d6 and keep the highest. So having more in one skill is better, but going from 0 skill to having 1 in it is really good as well. It's hard to say.
Did I remember correctly that there's some sort of advantage in having multiple skills in the same category?
Right. So each different type of skill you have in the same category, that is your score for that resilience. And it's usually a good idea to have at least 1 type of skill under each resilience.
Yeah, I have 2, 2, 1. So that's
so you're fine there. But it's not necessary. Recommended but not required. It really depends on how you want to play your character. If you want to be the very best, then have a couple of things that you have 2 or 3 things that you are really good at, and put 2 dots in those. But if you want to be good at a bunch of different things, then spreading out is good too.
So. Does anyone know where that background noise is coming from?
I think that's Mark. Yeah, that's Mark's background.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what TeamSpeak says.
Did I move him out until he gets back? Mark, are you here?
Okay, I'm just gonna mute him for now. And then...
I can just move him out and he can join when he gets back.
User was moved out of your channel.
Okay.
That works too.
Alrighty. Yeah, so for Shady Friends, I took people off of the list of notables. Is it better to do that, or should we come up with our own?
Them off of your on your Whisper page.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Under Strange Friends. So those strange friends are all people that you know. if you prefer to have some from the list of notables instead of any of those on the default whisper list, then absolutely we can do that.
I don't necessarily feel that strongly about it. I'll go ahead and pick ones from there instead, from the Strange Friends.
It's entirely up to you. Having it from that list on the whisper page is easier on me, just because I've got that handy.
Okay.
But if you telling me it's from the other place, that's fine. I can take it from there instead.
I guess the first shady friend is my friend and the second is my enemy?
Yes. So you get to pick which one from the list you want to be your friend and which one you want to be your enemy.
What's a pugilist?
Someone who fights with their fist, a pugilist. Yeah, like a boxer, only not as fancy.
So my good friend is certainly going to be Mercy Cold. There. I have a cold friend.
User joined your channel.
Hey. Yeah, I moved you out for a second because we were hearing background noise.
Mercy, a cold killer, is your friend.
And Stress, a clever blade, is going to be my enemy.
All right. So, how do you know Mercy?
I imagine Mercy is a family friend from back in the day.
So, Mercy is also is also a Rubian?
Yeah, I imagine.
Okay.
I imagine Mercy is a she, but I don't know, is Mercy a she?
That's up to you.
Mercy is a she.
Got it.
She is now. It's Kennen! Kennen!
And
now
Stress is a guy, I imagine, and Stress is very clever. I imagine Stress would be my age. A childhood rival and one that I haven't, really been able to beat because he outfoxes me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how did all three of you wind up in Duskfall?
I imagine Mercy's just, has jobs here, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
As a cold killer. Stress, I'm not sure what Stress is doing here. Mercy's just a hard killer who travels around to, she gets around to wherever, really.
Mm-hmm.
Stress.
And so she just happens to be in Duskfall.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Maybe
Gotcha.
she's keeping an eye on me for my family. If she's staying here for longer, one might suspect that, he's here because of me, but generally, travels around. And Stress. Maybe Stress is here just to spite me. I imagine that'd be a thing that Stress would do.
Gotcha.
But then again, Stress might think the same thing about me.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right, good to know. Good to know. Let me talk about your friends here, Farouk. Have you figured out who they're going to be now?
Okay. Well, I'm going with Skurlock the Vampire is my enemy. I think that they maybe sort of in some of the same circles and have their own agenda and thing going on, and it just sort of conflicts a lot of the time. And I think they've probably been in Duskfall for a very long time.
They
at least
they are actually their own. He is actually his own faction, all by himself, with nobody under him. Is considered a tier 3 faction.
Okay.
So you've pissed off some powerful people, or a powerful person.
Okay. Yeah. So our whole cult barely rates, right? It's like tier 0.
Tier 0.
Oops.
But yeah, I mean, some of the things you've done have just happened to be in the same circles as Lord Skurlock, and he's frowns on that a little bit. So at least you personally, we'll find out later if that affects the entire gang crew or not.
Okay.
So, cool.
Okay, and then
how about
for my friend, if it's okay, I actually sort of would like to keep Pollux. Just the idea of for trying to extend the cult's tendrils into both occult circles and governmental circles. I think that would be sort of a cool contact to have, and
yeah.
All
right. And tell me about Pollux. Who are they? How do you know them?
I think that we probably came across each other when Farouk was specifically following on a errand he was sent on, or mission he was sent on by Dionia. He speaks to her regularly. And so it seemed like happenstance, except that it was, Farouk counts it as fate. And I think that Pollux senses some sort of connectedness there, but doesn't necessarily take Farouk all that seriously, because he's sort of scum as far as Pollux is concerned, but interesting scum. And so
okay.
Yeah, pretty much just that.
I like it. All right, Mark, are you ready to start making a character? Okay. All right, we'll start when you get back then. So let me ask a couple of more questions here of the others while we get ready, just to learn a little bit more about your characters. So, Lynn, you're a killer. Yeah. Have you ever been in jail? Have you ever been caught?
That's a good question. Yeah, I have. When I was much younger, my parents, I didn't know that. I thought that I failed, but my parents have, arranged for me to fail a job to teach me a lesson. So they basically set me up for failure. I didn't spend too much time in prison, but I was very young, and it made a very strong impact on me. Especially a Rubian prison. Not a good place to be.
Yeah.
I think there'd be some pretty cruel demon wardens there.
Yeah, not a good time.
Who enjoy scaring little boys. Lan is a guy, by the way. I didn't know.
Yes.
said that.
Yes. I have it down. You can, on your character sheet, there is a section that says, look.
I just filled in, and he's dark-haired and amber-skinned, like the Rubians. He's a teenager. He has this look on his face, varying between, very neutral blank or, slightly annoyed. And he has dark clothes, and he just skulks around in the shadows a lot.
Nice. I like it. Right. And where was I at?
Shouldn't I choose a fight?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. We skipped right over that. Well, it is after you choose your friend and rival, choose a vice. Faith, gambling, luxury, obligation, pleasure, stupor, or weird.
I think obligation makes sense for him.
Okay, obligation. Who do you have an obligation to? Your family? Your...
I'm not sure if it's my family. I mean, it could be... It could be Farouk, because he brought me in. Or maybe I feel that I have a obligation to our goddess, Dionysia. Because I don't think he's really, in his heart, a strong believer of religions, but he's always just been brought up to believe that he should follow one, so he just does.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not sure what would be more fun, an obligation to Farouk or to Dionysia.
Brad, do you have a weigh in on this as Farouk?
Yeah, well, okay, so they'd be somewhat different in that an obligation to...
list of some obligations that are as examples as well.
Okay.
Let's take a look at that. So, yeah, I think Farouk would sort of unconsciously sort of play on that obligation and try and get you to do dangerous things.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Whereas Dionysia, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It would probably be more, the obligation would probably be more obscure and mysterious. We don't necessarily know what she wants or why. Her motivations are definitely, non-human.
Obligation. I mean, the silver nails also sounds interesting. Maybe I still, maybe the mercenary company that my parents, hired me out to a bunch of times, liked my work, and maybe they want me to, come back and do more. But I don't know if that would be a personal vice, though. That's more them wanting something of me.
Yeah, a vice is more something you want or that you can't do without or you feel obligated to do. So
do you like the idea of me being obligated to Farouk?
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
I think it'd be interesting.
Okay, then I'm gonna do that. Obligated to Farouk.
Alright.
No, I'm not here for the goddess. I'm just here because, Farouk freed me.
Mm-hmm.
And now you owe him.
Exactly. Basically.
So that definitely answers the question of why you're in the crew.
Yeah.
And I think Farouk has already answered why he's in the crew. I guess,
For my
So do you want to say that the Silver Nails have tried to recruit you, and
Sure.
maybe they're still trying to recruit you?
I mean, that could be cool.
All right.
So on insight and such, should I change the general roll for that to the amount of skills I have there, and for prowess and resolve?
No. Because
Okay.
that is not actually the number for your roll.
Okay.
That is actually your XP tracker.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, if you just hit the button, it automatically calculates it based on the number of skills that you have any dots in.
Okay.
So if you put the button for insight, even though it says 0 out of 6, since that's not actually that's your XP for that, not
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
cool.
Yeah, it does it automatically.
I went
That's
for
good.
survey instead of study, by the way. I imagine that he's good at, like, in the moment analyzing of situations.
Perfect.
I think that would be cool.
I love it.
Not that much into studying beforehand. I'll leave that up to smarter people.
Well, and it adds some diversity, because I have a point in study, but no survey.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm actually pretty good at survey. I've got 2 into the survey and 2 into skirmish.